Hey, this is Scott Spears, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another edition of The Exchange. Joining me this week, Matt Morgan, and always so glad to be joined by the 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow. And as you can see here on the set, we have balloons, and it's graduation balloons because we just went through graduation season. We have the happy graduation balloon over here, and then the mortar board over here. And I thought, we did not cover this, but a lot of people have went through graduation now, still some graduation parties happening. I thought we would talk a little bit about graduation and also advice to the graduates, the class of 2025. Mary Ellen, what do you remember about your high school graduation?
Well, it was at the park.
Garfield?
The one on East Center Street. Is that Garfield?
Garfield, yeah.
Yes, it was... they had a name for it, the building that was there. And, I had a good time at my graduation. We wore hats and stuff, and at the breakfast we wore hats, and big hats with big brims. And, I had a lot of fun at my graduation.
Now, when you were on the school board at Elgin and your kids were graduating, what do you remember about those graduations?
Well, Leslie graduated while I was president of the board, so that was real exciting to give her diploma. It was a little different being on the board when your family's graduating.
What's it like to be up there handing out all those diplomas?
Yeah. Well, I like doing it. Yeah, it's fun.
When you would come back to Mary, and I know you did this a couple times, spoke at high school graduations when you were Treasurer of the United States. Do you remember any advice you gave back in those days to kids?
Yes. I told them to not be afraid to do things that they wanted to do to improve their life. And I said, sometimes you're afraid to try things, and I said it's important to take risks sometimes. And those risks are there for you to make that decision usually.
What was the biggest risk you ever took in your life?
Probably running for office. Yeah.
The school board?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What advice would you give the class of 2025? Whole different era, internet, social media?
Yes. Well, I would tell them to try to get into a field that they liked, because that's the important thing, is to do something you like, and then you'll enjoy it your whole life. I have a real bunch of speeches for graduations. There's a lot of different speeches I give, and some of them, I'm trying to think of the word right now. I can't think of it, but it's believing in yourself and doing what you think is best. But I right now, I haven't looked at them for a long time, so I'm not thinking of the right words.
Do you still go to high school reunions?
Yes, Elgin.
Elgin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's that like to go back and see the people who you...
Well, I didn't go to school with them. I was on their school board, but, my children went there, so... we don't have any get-togethers anymore for Harding.
Really?
Well, our class is, we haven't had for 10 years. They spent all the money on the last one, which was in, it would have, I don't know. I had pneumonia the last time they had a celebration, and I didn't get to go. I can't remember what year it was, but it was quite a while ago.
Do you ever run into your old high school schoolmates?
Well, there's still there's one that plays bridge that I see once in a while. And then Ted Roseberry, I saw him, but he passed away. There's very few of us.
You know, I was thinking the other day, because, you know, you get these reunion invitations every 5 or 10 years, and it's fascinating because once your parents are gone, and if you have any siblings, once they're gone, the people who really knew you way back are the people you went to school with.
Yes. But, I mean, they were all over the country, and, you know, I don't know who's still alive anymore.
Right. So there's not even a... Is the president of your class still around?
Oh, no, he died a long time ago. Yeah.
I think it happens to all of us. That's one thing when people go back to reunions, you look around to see who's still there and who's no longer there, because that's really a time to get updated on what's happened.
And then you're ready to go home.
Well, you know, to me, I went to one reunion. Now, maybe this will change as time goes along. But I did not find it the experience that I thought it was going to be.
Right.
You know, you get there and you think, okay, this will be exciting. And about a half hour in, you're thinking, okay, you know, I've done this.
Yes.
Because it's a weird thing, because you know them, because you knew them years ago, but you don't see them for a long... So you really have nothing to say. There's not a lot of stuff.
No, there isn't.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it is, and I think everybody pretty much has that same feeling.
Yeah, you're thrown into this room of awkward situations, but you know, I think it happens to everybody. Matt, your graduation was what, 2-3 years ago?
22. So
22. Now, what do you remember about your high school graduation?
I mean, it was. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was pretty boring for the most part. I mean, there was some controversy involved with it. But you know, I guess that was rather interesting.
You were the River Valley class that. Yeah, I remember that, with the guy who got up and said marriage should be between a man and a woman.
The one?
That's the one.
Oh yeah.
We went national.
Oh Lord. That is one of those local stories.
Big time.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, we covered that story for weeks and weeks and weeks. That was just the story that wouldn't die. But I still say that poor guy, and he owned a business. I think they ran him completely out of town.
Oh yeah, I mean, he had contracts with the Air Force and all kinds of things, and then his business lost those contracts.
Really?
And, yeah, I'm pretty sure he retired.
Yeah, but I really do feel I remember saying at the time, and it wasn't popular, I don't think he got a fair shake.
Oh, don't you?
I don't because
really?
What if you read the whole speech? It is like one line in this entire speech.
It wasn't a very good line.
No, but the problem was when the national media picked up on it, the headline was, I'm trying to remember now, it was something like anti-gay speech. And the whole speech was not anti-gay. He never says anything about gay in the speech. He just says one line. He says, you know, his religious beliefs were that it should be a man and a woman. That's it. And the national media labeled it as if he got up there and gave a whole speech about gay. I mean, he did not say anything about gay. So I don't know. I felt that was a little too bad for him, but, you know.
Well, he shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I think that...
that was...
I think it's unfortunate that it happened, but, you know, time and a place for everything. That was certainly not the time nor the place.
But can you imagine being asked as a distinguished alumni, which is what he was, to come speak at the graduation, and it wrecks your whole life?
Did River Valley ever say that they
You don't
read
even
that
get
speech?
paid for that.
Did River Valley ever said that they say they read that speech?
Oh, what was that? They eventually came out and said something. I think they did say. I'm sure they had to have read.
Because that's what I said.
Mean before?
Yeah, because they came out with a statement and basically threw the guy under the bus. Said, we didn't look at a speech beforehand. We will start looking at the speeches.
Oh, maybe that's what it was then. I don't know.
But
you know, they didn't look at my speeches ahead of time.
Yeah.
I figured they would have. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you that.
You mean on his?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't think that. I mean, would they have really taken that line out? Would they have said you can't say this line?
Well, I think
they might have.
Yeah, I would have thought they'd have said something.
Well, it was kind of funny because at the graduation, it really did not cause that kind of furor. It was when the students after
I don't
decided
know,
to.
like the dude said like that he suggested that people stick to biblical principles of men and women and women and men. And then there was like some cheering in the audience.
Oh, there you go.
And then somebody else from the audience screamed. I honestly don't know what it was. I couldn't hear it, but it was a woman. I could tell you that much. She screamed something out, and then like a whole bunch of other people cheered, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's about to be a whole debate.
Well, hey, listen, he accomplished what you want to accomplish. Give a memorable speech
That's right. He
at
certainly
graduation. So he was.
We're still talking.
We're still talking about it. He was able. He got that part done. Ruined his life, but he was able to get that done. You know, so what advice would you give to the class of 2025?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I ain't been out of high school all that long, really. Find something that you enjoy doing and do it. I mean, there's not much else to do, really. I mean, it's either that or go to work or go to school.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important. I honestly, the graduation that I had, I remember it was at the Coliseum. There were a lot of graduates. But honestly, I do not remember a whole lot about that day. It was such a big event. I mean, 5,000 people in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many graduates that I remember it was hot because the Coliseum is not air conditioned. Back then, graduation was still in June. I think they have figured out to have that a little earlier now. I think graduation's now in May. So it was hot. And I knew I was going to college, so I didn't think it was the end of my schooling. So I knew that there was more schooling ahead. So I honestly couldn't even tell you. I can't remember a word that the valedictorian said.
Really?
I really can't. I can't. Do you remember what your valedictorian said?
I don't.
I have
no idea. I'm still trying to think of what I said. I mean, you know, I had some wonderful speeches, but I can't even remember anything to give you. Yeah.
Well, I know who she was because we had a strange situation with such a big class that our valedictorian was also the homecoming queen.
Oh.
Same person. So, and also the class president. So she had all those titles, but I don't remember anything she said, and I don't remember anybody who spoke that day. So I'm sure somebody else spoke. I honestly don't even remember walking across the stage. I remember being there, and it was hot, and it was in the Coliseum. That's what I remember. Now, college graduation, I do remember better, because it was at Ohio State. It was in the Horseshoe. John McCain spoke.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, high school I really can't remember.
What year was that?
Which one?
You graduated from Ohio State.
Would have been 2000. No. 99.
99.
99. Yeah.
That might have been the same year I traveled with him.
Oh, with John McCain?
Mm-hmm. About the dollar coin and the dollar bill.
Did you? I mean, I didn't walk up to him, but he seemed like a very nice man.
He is very nice. I thought he was very nice. Yeah.
Cordial man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people came out to see him. It was packed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was that. And I remember, now I do remember this. Now I don't know if I've ever said this on the air, but, you know, it's something all these years I've recovered from now. But going into, they kept you, the graduates entered. Mm-hmm. All your friends came in, family and all that came in and packed the shoe. And so you would enter to the Ohio State music. Carmen, Ohio, I think is what it was. But they've televised it because they had John McCain and they had all this. So they had all these cameras and big heavy sound equipment that they normally would not have on the field. So what they did was they took these big cords and they put pieces of plywood over top of them.
Oh.
And they put rugs on top of the plywood.
Oh.
And I remember coming in and catching my foot on a piece of plywood. Oh, I went down.
Oh, did you?
I did. But I got right back up.
Yeah,
So I didn't break anything.
Yeah, but, that sounds like it was just asking you to fall.
Oh, it was. I walked in. I think I was taken walking in, seeing all the place full.
Yeah.
And then you didn't realize you're walking on plywood. Plywood and rugs and cords. And so, I remember that very well. But it was a good day. When you fall, when you have a robe and a hat on, you go down.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Well, you know what advice I would give to people is I think don't miss any opportunities.
Yeah.
If you want to do it and it's presented in front of you, don't think you can do it later because it might not be there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it now.
Yep.
Yeah. And now we're going to move on to the current events of the world, but the balloons will stay on the set here. We're going to start locally, which actually is a national story. This past Saturday was the military parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the military. Also happened to fall on Donald Trump's birthday. This caused a lot of furor in the country. 5 million people went out and protested on what they called No King's Day. In Marion, we had a over 300 person protest down by the courthouse. That went very well for them. Mary Ellen, you said you watched the parade. What'd you make of this day?
Well, I wanted to see I wanted to see the equipment that we had, for war. I was anxious to see the tanks and everything. And I couldn't get over how many different types of tanks there were. I mean, every tank looked different to me. And I didn't expect that. And then, all those guys had to walk all that distance. I felt sorry for them, all the soldiers that had to do all that for him. But actually, there weren't very many people there, and he looked bored. I mean, the president looked bored. And I think he probably was,
Do you think the idea of a military parade will ever come up in this country again?
I don't know, but I think it was sure a waste of everybody's money that he did that. And, at the same time, he was taking money away from the veterans, which I think is terrible. Yeah.
What did you make of all the protests? 5 million people all over the place.
That was really something. That really got your attention. I couldn't get over how many people were. Philadelphia was unreal, and New York City,
and Chicago,
and everywhere was unreal. But those crowds were tremendous.
Different. There was a big rally in April as well, and what was different this time? There were more people.
Yeah.
But also, it seemed as if it really shook up the people who supported Donald Trump. They really were not at the event, but they wanted to attack the coverage of it, I think. And when somebody attacks the coverage of something, it worried them. Mm-hmm. And they were attacking crowd size. They were attacking the media that was there. Why did the media cover these things? They were attacking just about everything they could. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? That must have really shook them up, those protests.
Well, yeah. I couldn't find it on the television. I didn't know what station. I called everybody in my family. Nobody was watching. And they were a little surprised that I was watching. But I said, no, I want to see what's going on here and see what he's doing. And so anyway.
I was surprised at the people who I saw at the local Marion protest. I mean, it was really a diverse group of people.
Was it?
It was. I mean, I interviewed an 18-year-old kid named Jackson Shipley, who's a fresh graduate out of Harding, wants to be a teacher. He's there protesting with a sign.
Really?
I saw all kinds of people. It was a woman who was wrapped in a Mexican flag talking about how she was legal and her family was worried because they were illegal. And there were just a lot of people there, a lot of signs, a lot of energy. And I thought, because we've had this conversation so many times about the local Democratic Club, and I thought the local Democratic Club cannot get 20 people to a meeting or people to vote. But here are 300 plus people on a Saturday, 2 hours out on the street.
Well, and you wonder, did any of those people vote for Trump,
I think some probably did, but I don't think, probably not the majority.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and I do have to thank the police presence. The sheriff was there, the police chief was there. Nothing happened of any consequence, which was good.
Yeah.
But There were about 5 people who were Trump supporters there who tried to cause a little disturbance, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing huge. And the media, we were there covering it, and the Marion Star did cover it.
Oh, did they?
So you got to give them credit. They
Yeah.
did go down and cover that.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what do you make of Military Parade Day and Trump's birthday and Protest Day?
As far as if there will ever be another military parade, I think that there might be, but I think it'll have to be like that'd be more like a Victory Day thing. We'd have to fight in another war and then finish it.
Well, that could be coming up.
Well, it could
We've got
be.
a lot going on.
Yes. That's
But
very
so
scary.
I mean, I think that a Victory Day parade might at some point in our timeline happen again. But I mean, I think that I don't think there should have been a military parade. I think it was probably just a big waste of money. If we're being honest, it didn't accomplish anything. So there's that. But the protests on that day were 5 million people. It's a rather large protest across the United States. So.
Well, there was a big discussion about, was this for President Trump's birthday, or was this for the military and it just happened to fall on his birthday?
I actually had this conversation myself.
I'll go right ahead then.
Well, I mean, it's just because, well, it was more so just because, like, everybody who I had talked to I don't think they knew that it was, like, the anniversary of the military. They were all just like, he's throwing a parade for his birthday. And I was like, I mean, it also is the anniversary, so, like, I did do that whole thing. I think Donald Trump has the ego that he probably did it for his birthday, but I think he has the know-withal, if that's the right word, I don't know, to just pawn it off as my birthday is the same day as the military's birthday.
Well, here's the problem, as I said to people, because people did. I introduced the coverage, and it's got over 1,500 views so far, so I appreciate that people paid attention.
Oh, yeah.
But I introduced the coverage as No King's protest for the military parade to celebrate Donald Trump's birthday. They did not like that. But I believe that that's okay. Everybody has their own opinion. They didn't like it. They felt it was for the military and not for his birthday. And that, but I feel that the people protesting, which is what I was covering, were there because there was a military parade on his birthday. I think that's what they were angry about. And I would also say this. If the parade was not for Donald Trump's birthday, anybody with a quarter of a brain in their head would have had the military parade the following weekend. They wouldn't have it on their birthday. Then there wouldn't be any confusion at all. You couldn't say that it was because of the birthday. That's the mistake. Now, if he truly was doing it for the military, I would not have had it the exact same day as his birthday.
Well, I think he thought it was for his birthday.
Right. You notice how many people did not attend who were Republicans.
Yes.
Yes. Here we are. So that's that, and that's what happened, and away we go. But speaking of military, this week was not a good week for Iran and Israel. That's turning into a very nasty battle.
Yeah.
And there's a growing divide among the MAGA voters on this. First time the Donald Trump group is not seeing eye to eye. A matter of fact, Ted Cruz got into a nasty argument with Tucker Carlson on Tucker Carlson's internet show about the unconditional surrender of Iran.
Which side was who on?
Well, Tucker Carlson, as near as I could tell, seemed to be on the side that Iran needed to go, and Ted Cruz is that we shouldn't ask for the unconditional surrender, I think is how I took it. Although the argument was kind of...
It was hard to understand.
It was an androgynous argument.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
Because I watched it and I still didn't know.
That's what it's hard to say who. I do know that I can tell you that Tucker Carlson was trying to say that Ted Cruz didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
Yeah, that came out that Tucker Carlson said Ted Cruz didn't understand Iran.
But I enjoyed just watching them. Yeah.
Oh, they were angry at each other.
They were.
They were not happy. So, I mean, what do you think? Should Iran unconditionally surrender to Israel here, or I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Well, I wish they would, but it doesn't seem like that's what's going to happen.
Well, I'd like to know what unconditional surrender means. Does that mean Iran...
Well, they surrender no matter what.
To Israel?
Yeah.
So does Israel take over?
Yeah, like They could
Well,
just
that's the
annex them,
question.
I
That's the
guess, if
question.
That's the question.
Right, and that's the problem, I
Yeah.
think, because if Israel takes over Iran, then there's going to be an even bigger problem, because the Palestinians are certainly not going to like that, and the Palestinians' last ally pretty much is Iran in that area. Now, not that the Palestinians are right, but you're going to give Israel, who does have a nuclear weapon, no matter what they say, a tremendous amount of power in that area if Iran goes away. And again, not that Iran is filled with nice people, they're not, but I don't know if eliminating a country is ever a good idea.
Well, to say they know where the leader is and make threats to the leader, I thought was kind of harsh.
Yeah, well, the Ayatollah, yeah, and
Yeah.
and Netanyahu, he's just not the most steady leader in the world.
Well, you wonder how
Not
he's
a very
still there.
diplomatic fellow.
He's been there a long time, and they're trying to get rid of him, and it seems like they can't get rid of him. Yeah.
Well, I wonder what Iran's thinking was here. Why did they attack Israel? What was the thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know what they were trying to do.
We don't know, do we?
Something's up, because I can't imagine they thought that they would defeat Israel after all this time. So did they feel
Iran
lean?
attacked Israel?
Well, they certainly
Yeah.
fight. Yeah,
They did.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
I don't think Israel attacked Iran in this situation.
I don't know. I thought it had something to do with the fact that they had like nuclear. What do they call them? Like nuclear processing facilities, essentially enrichment facilities. That's the word, enrichment.
Well, yeah, I mean they're.
And then
but
so they
they-
did like preemptive strikes.
Well, that did happen, but then Iran really opened up.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah, but
you know,
but I
it's-
don't think Israel was trying to take over Iran then. I don't think they were trying to make Iran surrender. I think they were just trying to take out their military bases. And then Iran decided, well, we're just going all in on this now and
Massive retaliation.
send everything out. Which I don't understand that. I don't know. The military base, the military equipment was already destroyed. Why would you start firing on Israel when you're at your lowest? I didn't quite understand that. Because I don't think Israel was moving in. I don't think they were going to march people into Iran at that point, but that certainly could happen now.
I would think that if somebody bombed the United States, we would probably bomb them back.
That's for sure.
So
Well,
I mean, I can't necessarily say I disagree with Iran, but I honestly don't know to what extent they bombed Israel back.
Yeah, but
I mean,
now see-
I don't disagree
this-
with them bombing Israel back.
But this is iffy because, see, here's people say, oh, the United States is awful and we commit war crimes too. Well, here's the problem. Okay, let's give your theory. Well, that did happen here. Pearl Harbor was attacked in World War II. Now, who attacked Pearl Harbor? The Japanese. Now, did we go in and try to take over Japan? No. We took care of Japan.
Eventually we did.
Well, we made them surrender, certainly. Truman.
Sure.
Zeroed 2 cities.
But I don't think Roosevelt would have handled it that way had he lived. I don't think he would have dropped the nuclear bombs on
Truman
Iran.
was an interesting kind of fellow. He said that nukes were going to be a weapon of conventional warfare and that they were going to be used all the time. And then
Yeah, but
you know,
we also did not take over Japan. We destroyed them and then just left them. And they've rebuilt, obviously.
Yeah,
Now we
yeah.
buy all our VCRs and televisions.
Yeah, we're
and
good,
things from
we're good friends now. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's the difference. I don't think
Yeah.
Israel would let Iran stay. I think they would try to occupy it. I think that's the difference. That's the difference between the United States and other countries. We don't want to take over your government. We want to overthrow you if you attack us.
That might not be the case though with Trump.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's becoming another division. Is Trump has said, I'm anti-war, I'm anti-war, and I think he is really at his heart
Yeah, but now he's talking about sending.
standing with Israel.
Yeah.
Well, and this has always said what I've always said. People who say that we're not pro-Israel, we certainly are
Yes.
pro-Israel,
Yeah.
no matter what they do, because we've said we'll stand with Israel, and, Iran, you better step off of this. So, we might talk a little more about this, because it is very important, and the histories, they're very important, going back to the Jimmy Carter era with the Iranian hostage crisis. So a lot going on there, Israel and Palestine. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about that. There's stuff going on in Minnesota, horrible stuff there, and even some stuff here in Ohio. We'll come back and talk more right after this. Hey, Scott Spears here with WGH Talk, and we are now in baseball season as of last Thursday. Now, a few weeks ago on the program, we sang Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Mary Ellen, Glenn Coble, Matt, and myself. And Mary Ellen, we did the best we could. We did the best we could. But we have got a real singer here now. We've got Dylan Davis, who has sang at Carnegie Hall, Marion native. He's sang at the Met, Lincoln Center in New York. He's going to lead us through this, Mary Ellen. Take me out to the ball game, Dylan.
You guys want to sing with me?
We might come in behind.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Oh, let's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Hey, Mary Ellen, are we ready for Carnegie Hall now?
Yeah.
Oh, I think so.
Hey, Scott Spears back with the 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, and Matt Morgan. We were chatting about Israel and Iran and the standoff that's going on over there right now. My contention is that when Israel attacked the military bases in Iran, I think they would have stopped there, because I think the purpose of that was to stop any attacks that Iran would have on Israel. But when Iran responded with that enormous attack, I think then the gloves were off. And I think then it was, we're just going to start bombing each other, and now we've got a terrible situation on our hand. Certainly not good peace talks. Peace talks are 0 for 2 for President Trump. Ukraine and Russia are certainly not friendly with each other.
That's not going anywhere, is it?
And Iran and Israel.
After all his promises on what he was going to do.
You know, he must have really thought that Putin was his friend.
Yeah, and he's got a big surprise.
He got a surprise.
Yeah.
When Putin finally decided that he didn't need Trump anymore or couldn't get anything more from him,
Yeah.
he's going to do what he wants to do.
That's right.
And he did.
And he's
It's about what I figured would happen. That's about what I figured would happen. I
Yeah.
said before the election that Putin is not a dumb man. If Donald Trump goes over there, he's going to get walked in circles.
I think he did.
Yeah.
But I do believe, I don't think I said this on the air, I do believe that Trump knew, there's no way Trump did not know that Israel was going to bomb the military bases in Iran. I don't think Israel would do that without letting us know.
Why?
Because they'd be afraid that we would not be on their side. Israel always wants the United States on their side. It's always been that way. Mm-hmm. Don't you think, Mary Ellen?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have always tried to say in the Middle East that we are even Steven, but anytime anybody attacks Israel, anytime Israel is in trouble, we put our hand on the scale of Israel more than any place else.
Oh, no, I was rather not a fan of the last time Netanyahu came to the United States because he stood in the United States Congress and called it a cesspool of anti-Semitism.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But see, listen, we have an Anti-Defamation League in America, and if people think that the Anti-Defamation League is anything but anti-Jewish, it's not. I mean, they protect Jewish rights. They're not. I mean, you could be a Palestinian, and the Anti-Defamation League is not going to run to your defense. I mean, and it's good that we don't want anti-Semitism, but you know, there's an Israeli lobby. There's no Palestinian lobby in Washington, D.C.
Well, look at all the money we give Israel every year.
Exactly.
They get a lot of money every year.
And every president on the books is always asked when they get into office, do you think Israel has a nuclear weapon? And they all say, I don't want to speculate. We've known that we've known for years that Israel has a nuclear weapon. And, you know, so yeah, we have always been very pro-Israel. Now, I don't know if Jimmy Carter was.
Oh, really?
I think he was a little more down the middle. I think that's why he got the peace talks taking. And,
Oh, well, yeah, we got that accomplished.
and I do think
Yeah.
Clinton was a little more down the middle because he did get Arafat and
Yeah, he did.
the guy who was killed,
Yes,
Rabin.
yeah.
Rabin. And I'll tell you, getting those two together would have been a circus.
It was a job.
That was a job. So I think Clinton and Carter were probably the two who were least on
Yeah.
the side of Israel, and that's why they were able to get peace agreements for a time. But all the others pretty much have always been pro-Israel. which I guess it's not a horrible thing, but I don't know why we act as if we're not. I mean, look what we're doing here. I mean, we don't have any. We're telling Iran what to do, and we're not even involved in this thing yet.
Well, the president is trying to, and I don't know. I just wonder what Congress thinks of all this. You don't hear anything.
I was reading
Except Ted
an
Cruz.
article on.
Well, yeah, him, but who cares about him?
There was also I was reading an article where I can't think of his name. It was a Republican from Kentucky. He said that it's not our war. So I mean,
Yeah, but I think that's the divide in the Republican Party right now is that what are you going to do? I mean, the United States doesn't want to take over Iran, and I don't, unless we want the oil.
I don't.
Oh, yes, we do.
I
yeah.
think. Well,
But
We
it's,
want the
we
oil.
want oil,
Yeah.
but now somebody did say that. I heard one of these smart people on television the other day saying, Iran really has no military left. So the only thing they can do is launch missiles at this point. But there is a road in Iran where, I forget the percentage, but it's a large percentage of the oil in this
Yeah.
country comes through.
Yeah.
And if they know they're about to go, Iran is going to blow that road up. And if they do, the price of gas and oil in this country is going to go through the roof.
Oh,
I mean, that's what I heard. That's Iran's last... Because you got to figure at this point, we know Iran's got no military.
yeah.
Why?
Why
Iran
are-
is massive. Is well compared to like.
What are they going to do? March it into Israel? I don't think so.
Why not? Israel's small in comparison. They're
they're not doing so
probably
hot
more
so far.
technologically advanced.
I mean, don't you find this whole situation odd? I mean, this has been going on for a week, over a week now. Israel took out the military bases. Iran sent back missiles. Israel sent back missiles. Yet no ground troops are going anywhere. Nobody is surrendering. Why?
Well, he's supposedly sending planes over. Didn't you hear that?
Oh, Donald
yeah,
Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're trying
What?
to push Iran into an unconditional surrender, but I don't know if that'll happen. Iran has never been deal makers.
Not really, no. Is that who Bush was always going over to see?
Well, I'm trying to think of who got the Iran. There was one Iran deal, and people always said it was a bad deal. I think it was Obama who got that deal, where we gave them a certain amount of money.
That they rescinded.
Yeah, they can't.
No, Bush had a deal with somebody in that area, and I didn't know if it was Iran or somebody else.
Might have been Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I think it was
Yeah,
Saudi. Yeah,
yeah.
it was Saudi Arabia.
But
yeah.
I tell you what, we have
Yeah.
always been. Listen, Iran had our hostages. We could have knocked
Yeah.
off Iran. We certainly could have. The United States could have taken care of Iran. The reason we don't do that is because I think the United States has always believed we don't want to take over countries. That never goes well. Look at Iraq, and Iraq was not big at all. I think it costs a lot of money. It takes a lot of effort. And then you get terrorist organizations because they don't want you there. And you have to set up a whole form of government that they usually don't want and overthrow in the end to begin with.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And you might want the oil, but I'll tell you, if they take out that road where all that oil comes down, that's not going to be a good situation. And I don't know why they wouldn't do that if they felt they were on their last leg. So, Mary Ellen, how do you think this is all going to play out?
Boy, I don't know. I hope that we don't get into it, that we don't get involved. We've got to stay out of it, and Trump sounds like he's going to get into it.
When did Israel become so warlike? I mean, they've always been at odds with the Palestinians, but recently it's almost as if they're at odds with the whole Middle Eastern...
Well, they've always had extreme military. Their military was always... We would be in awe of it, really, because it was so well done. I mean, I can still remember the people in government talking about their military when I was in government.
Yeah.
How very good they were at all of their different things that they could do with their planes and so forth. Yeah.
What do you think, Matt? Where do you think this is going to end up?
Well, I hope that we just let the Middle East figure it out, honestly.
That's good.
It's not. I don't know that it's looking like that's the way the whole situation's leaning, but that's what I hope the situation comes to.
Well, why do you think Trump is so involved in this?
I think we're pro-Israel, and I think there's an idea of oil there that we could. He must be afraid that they are going to blow up that road.
There's some reason why he's so involved in this. You'd have thought that he wouldn't be.
Well, I think he believes that a lot of bad stuff can happen. I mean, Israel, I don't think could just walk in and take over Iran. And I think that's going to cause a lot of stabilization in the Middle East. And I don't know, would any of the other countries go? I mean, I don't know. Would Saudi Arabia get involved?
I don't know.
It's an odd situation that I think people have tried to. Syria's no more at this point. That was a friend of Iran for years. So I don't know. And I'm not sure what Israel's trying
What
to
happened
do.
to Syria? So what happened to Syria?
Well, not very good things.
Yeah. Well, they kind of imploded.
Yeah.
But a lot of those places have imploded in the last 20 years over there. Gaddafi and his country, they overthrew him and killed him in the streets. I mean, it's an interesting time.
Well, you'll have that when
Egypt.
people tend to not like dictators.
Egypt overthrew their government about 15, 20 years ago. I mean,
They stay out of it, don't they?
yeah, Libya.
Yeah.
Libya stays out of it now, but
Yeah.
since Gaddafi is gone. All these military leaders have kind of been overthrown. Iran has stayed pretty, I don't think the Ayatollah is a fair man. I mean, I think he kind of runs that country with an iron fist. So, I don't know. Iran is strange. We had the Shah of Iran for years. We were very friendly with him.
Yeah, and he was okay.
Yeah, we liked him.
Yeah.
And then they turned on him.
Well, he came to the United States for medical care.
Well, that's why they took the hostages. They said, you give us
Yeah.
the Shah back
Yeah.
and we'll give you the
Yeah.
hostages.
So
Yeah.
he came to the United States for medical attention.
Yeah.
He had
And then-
something done to it. I forget what it was.
He was very sick. He died
Yeah.
not too long after
Yeah.
that.
And then they took prisoners?
Yeah, they took our military guys over
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Why?
From the embassy.
But well,
Do they think we kidnapped him or something?
yeah.
No, well, but the Shah of Iran?
Yeah.
No, it's because we let him in.
Well, he wanted medical attention. What do you want us to do? Turn him away?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they wanted to see him die. They overthrew him.
Yeah, they didn't like him.
No, they
Yeah.
kicked him out of the
What
country.
did he
Yeah.
do?
They didn't like the way he was kind of a president. There was somewhat of a democratic feel to their government. The Ayatollah, there was no democratic feel with the Ayatollah.
No.
No, he was just who he was. He was militaristic. The Shah wore suits and gave interviews to the Western world, and he would come to the United States, and that was a friendly relationship. So they wanted him back. They wanted to kill him. I mean, they shot Sadat during that time and killed him
Yeah, they
on the
did.
Ayatollah's orders
Yep.
from Egypt. So they were not a happy country at that time. That's why it shocks me that this is going on now, because Iran during that time, they kicked their own leader out, they threatened the United States, they held our hostages, they cost Jimmy Carter the presidency, they assassinated the leader of Egypt, Anwar Sadat, and yet they didn't have the kind of trouble that they're having now. And I can't understand what is going on now.
Well, there's something we don't know about.
Something we don't know. That's why I can't believe that Israel just said, well, we're going to attack them.
There's something going on.
Something-
We don't know what it is.
Something's
Yeah,
going on.
Right.
Maybe the cost of oil is too high. And we don't. But yeah, but we would not surrender the Shah, by the way, for history buffs out there. We wouldn't surrender him, and that's why they kept our troops. And by the way, I believe this is true. The Shah Vanus, which was his wife, is still here in this country, still lives here.
Is she?
I believe so. She
Really?
was a few years ago.
Really?
The only reason she wouldn't be, I think, now is if she was dead.
Yeah.
But she was still here just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you the friendly relationship we had with the Shah. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
that here we are today. I don't know where we are, but we're somewhere. Well, let's talk about this, because this is an interesting subject. Politicians getting arrested by ICE agents. This is becoming a problem. 3 have been arrested now. They've all been released. But Senator Padilla in the last week out in
Wasn't he arrested
California.
by the FBI though.
No, it's not my understanding. It was the ICE agents.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
And
During
and-
the press conference?
yeah,
Oh, I
'Cause
thought the back of their vest said FBI.
and the New York mayoral candidate. Now he's been released, but he
Yeah.
basically has said, this is not a dictatorship. How can you be arresting United States citizens?
I hadn't heard much about him until this.
Yeah,
Um,
got him some press.
yes, it did. Is he running against the current mayor, or is the current mayor going to quit?
Well, I think the current mayor who got pardoned is still going to, Eric Adams, but Cuomo's in there, Andrew Cuomo's
That's
in there.
right, Cuomo's in there.
Yeah, but this guy's getting a lot of attention is what they're saying and getting a lot of press, so who knows?
Oh, really?
But I don't know why we're arresting, what are they doing?
It doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe they're doing it just so he gets attention.
Well, and the the ICE agents arrest these people, and then the administration doesn't press any charges, and then they release them.
Yeah,
And I think, well, what is the point of this?
yeah. Maybe it's just publicity.
Maybe.
I mean, it could just be like a scare tactic. Like, I mean, like if the average person is looking at that saying, "Man, if senators are getting arrested, I'm gonna get arrested."
That could be it too. That's right.
But that shouldn't happen. I mean,
No.
Well, I didn't say it should. I just said that's what might be.
no, but
what it is.
good Lord, how did we get to the point where you can have video of a senator being arrested by ICE agents and think, well, that's okay?
Oh,
I mean, it's unbelievable to see what's going on in the world right now. And speaking of unbelievable, Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed. And State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were wounded in politically motivated shootings early Saturday morning, Governor Tim Walz said. Hortman, age 55, and her husband Mark, 58, were shot in their Brooklyn Park home, while Hoffman, 60, and his wife Yvette were shot about 5 miles away in their Champlin home. Investigators say they believe the suspect, well, we know who it is now, politically motivated guy dressed as a police officer. And apparently Congresswoman Amelia Sykes of Akron, Shontel Brown of Cleveland, Marcy Kaptur of Toledo, all Democrats, Joyce Beatty, were all mentioned in the notes of Vance Bolter.
Sykes was in on it?
That's what it said.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And some in some other politicians.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of paperwork in
Yeah.
this guy's car. He's been charged with stalking and murdering Hortman and her husband, and stalking and shooting Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. And, I don't know. What in the world's going on?
Yeah. And he had a face mask on. It said what they call it. It was evidently, stuck to his skin.
Yeah.
And he shot their dog too.
Shot their dog.
Yeah. And I mean, the guy is just a sick puppy.
And
Yeah.
but is this the rhetoric? People, the way we talk to each other now? Is this?
Well, the sad part about it was all Democrats. He's evidently doesn't like Democrats.
No.
And that's what's so scary when, somebody takes that kind of an attitude.
We got to say Mike DeWine, though, did a good thing. As soon as this happened, he ordered extra security for all of the politicians, I believe, in Ohio.
Did he?
Yeah,
Mhm.
which, I mean,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why things like this are happening so often.
I know.
I mean,
Every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mary Ellen, if you were still in office, what would something like this make you think?
Yeah, it make you really worried.
Yeah, you certainly would think twice.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Matt, what do you make of it?
I mean, I certainly think that. I really don't know. I mean, it's no good. I think that obviously he's been radicalized. Is that the right word?
I don't know. Radical. What does that mean? Something's happened to him?
Well, no, just like he's like an extremist.
Oh.
I think that it would seem to me that he is pretty much bought in that that Democrats are like the bane of America at this point.
Well, he was upset about abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a man. What's his problem?
Well,
You know?
and it's kind of backwards when
Yeah.
you're upset about abortion, so you kill people.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Doesn't make much
yeah,
sense.
no, no, something's not right there in this
Yeah.
guy's logic.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but and then they asked President Trump, was he going to call Tim Walz, the governor, I guess, and say he was sorry or about to hear about this or something. And of course, Trump on the plane said Walz was essentially not right in the head, and he had no reason to call him. And
Did he act alone, or was there like?
I think they think he acted alone.
Okay.
They haven't said anything else yet. Yeah.
I mean, do you think Trump should have called the governor?
Probably. I mean,
Well,
happening.
I think he should show some remorse about this. I mean, the guy ought to show something.
Somebody said the other day that Donald Trump cannot show empathy.
No,
Well,
for
that's
people.
true. I mean, like, I was just about to bring up when, it was within, I think, the first 100 days of the Trump presidency when the plane crashed into the water, and then one of the reporters asked him if he was going to go visit the families of the deceased, and he said, "What do you want me to do, swim?"
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Some nasty remark, Yeah.
You almost wonder about his childhood.
Well, he had a terrible childhood. His father was, I think, kind of mean.
His mother lived a long time. I remember
Yeah.
his mother still being alive in the 80s and 90s. And
She was in the hospital, though,
yeah,
a lot.
Well, I remember when one of the first times Trump became a big media personality is when he got his divorce from Ivanka. And I remember his mother went to Ivanka's birthday party. And I remember that got a lot of press that, his own mother, would go to the, ex-wife's birthday.
Isn't he married to Ivanka now?
No.
Who's he married to now?
What you're thinking of the daughter's
Yeah.
name is similar.
Ivana, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did I get them screwed up? Is it which one's Ivana and which one's Ivanka?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know because
I think the daughter's
Ivanka.
Ivanka.
So the wife was Ivana.
I don't remember. Yeah.
But I'm talking about the wife.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
But no, his wife now is Melania.
Oh, Melania.
That's
yeah,
the first lady.
Yeah.
They showed he was trying to get his finger around her finger. Did you see
At
that?
the military parade?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
He tried, and she wouldn't do it. Yeah.
She's not happy with him.
They had the camera right on his hand. They were evidently watching for this. It was really funny.
Well, what is the age? About 40 years, isn't it?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a big age
Quite a
difference
bit.
in that relationship. But they don't seem chummy these days.
No, they don't.
No.
And the late night people make a lot of fun about her not being there at the White House.
Yeah. I tell you, it is
Yeah.
it's a rough way to go. But I hope that these shootings do not continue to happen. I hope that
Oh yeah.
we're able to figure out what is going on. I mean,
Yeah.
people can have different opinions, but not do this. Well, here we are in Ohio. Republican lawmakers in Ohio were planning, we don't know if they did it or not today or not, I haven't looked, on introducing a bill today, Wednesday, that would ban almost all abortions and criminalize the procedure. The Ohio Paternal Equal Protection Act would overturn the amendment to the Ohio Constitution voted on in 2023 that establishes an individual right to one's own reproductive medical treatment, including but not limited to abortion before viability. Reproductive medical treatments include contraception, fertility treatments, and miscarriage care.
And Ursula is going to get out of politics. I was sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
She's the only strong Democrat we got in there.
So do you think that this is something that will make it through the House?
I certainly hope
House
not.
of Representatives here
I
in
really
Ohio?
hope not.
State House?
I have no idea.
I mean, if you're
don't-
gonna put something up to the vote of people, and then you vote, it wasn't even a close. Like, it was overwhelmingly in favor of having abortion in the state.
Yeah, it was, but
So
this group is a different group.
Well, you got to remember, they're establishing an individual right to one's own reproductive medical treatment. Now, this bill would ban almost all abortions. For something that passed in Ohio, you think that would make them very unpopular if they would do this.
You would think.
Yeah, but I don't know if it would or not. I keep thinking that certain things they're doing will make them unpopular, but I don't know. I don't. This would seem to me like you're overturning the will of the people, and you're not even waiting 2 years to do it. I mean, that's awful quick.
Yeah.
If you didn't want it on the ballot, why did you put it on the ballot? I still don't understand why they did that. When Roe versus Wade was overturned, I think they must have thought that Ohio would vote it down.
Donald Trump pretty much said that in the debate. He mentioned that when he got it overturned to the state, a lot of states were more liberal, had more liberal votes than you would expect, and he even mentioned Ohio
But why did he think that? Because when they were overturning Roe versus Wade, all the polls said that the majority believed in letting the woman have the right to choose.
I don't know. That's just what he said. I don't know if he thought more of the country was just going to side with more states were going to vote in opposition to, but I really don't think Donald Trump cares one way or another. I don't
know if this has anything to do with Donald Trump. This has to do with the Ohio State House.
Well, I don't know. I go back to the thing I said originally. Then I think that if you put it up for vote and it was voted in overwhelmingly that we have abortion enshrined into the Constitution, then you leave it there.
Yeah, you think they leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they're not. Yeah.
No, and that's been stuck in their craw since it passed.
Well, yeah, they're holding a grudge. Is what I would say.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, but I don't know. Maybe it won't get very far. You never know. But I'll tell you something that got a lot of attention last night was the HBO documentary. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but on Ohio State. Goodness gracious. Surviving Ohio State, the film explored the Ohio State University abuse scandal based upon the 2020 Sports Illustrated article, Why Aren't More People Talking About the Ohio State Sex Abuse Scandal? It aired last night on HBO. It's available on HBO Max, the streaming service right now. And boy, this has got some attention. And
we've got Marion into it.
We do.
Ratliff is doing a lot of talking during that interview.
Yeah, he was on my show yesterday.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, he was.
And what did he have to say?
He talked about what went on at Ohio State, being, sexually abused by this Dr. Strauss. And how Ohio State basically has no remorse about this and isn't living up to anything that they said they would do. I don't know. It was one of the most interesting interviews because here you have Rocky Ratliff, who a lot of people know in this community, have known his family. And I said during the interview, did you ever tell your family when this was going on? And he said, no. And I said, have you ever told your family now? And he said, we've never had a discussion about it. Mm-hmm. And
he doesn't want to talk about it.
No, and when I said, why haven't, it was either why haven't you or will you talk to them about it after this documentary airs tonight? And he broke down in the studio.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
And that these people, I'm not sure. People like to be Buckeye fans, and God bless them and all that. But holy moly, the way they handled this guy was there for 20 years.
Yeah.
78 to 98. And it all comes from this article. Why aren't more people talking about this? And by the way, our representative Jim Jordan is involved in this.
Did they talk about Jim Jordan?
Somewhat. And Rocky, who was part of the wrestling program, said, there's no way that he did not know.
Yeah.
There's no way he didn't know. Mm-hmm. And he even said he would be okay, because Jordan was a young guy then, if Jordan would just say, listen, I believe what you're saying, and I'm sorry that it happened. But he won't do that. He just keeps denying it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Think this is going to get him anywhere? That's the whole point, I think, of this documentary.
Well, I think if the documentary does well enough, I think it'll certainly put eyes on Ohio State. But I think that if Ohio State hasn't done anything, I assume they've fired the doctor and whatnot. But I would assume
he's dead, committed suicide.
Well, yeah.
There you are.
There you are.
I don't know what exactly they said they would do, but apparently if they haven't lived up to it, I would think that this is probably not going to make them live up to it.
Well, this doesn't look good. When something airs on a national level like this, a documentary that's on HBO, I think that's as big as it's gotten so far. in
Yeah.
somebody covering this. And I think the newspaper man, the Sports Illustrated guy was saying back in 2020, why is nobody talking about this? Why has this all been dusted under the rug?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen the documentary, but I had a guy first call this morning on the air, said he watched it last night, and it was just, horrific what these people went through.
Really.
Horrific.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yep.
Sounds like it.
I think at some point somebody's going to have to do something. I don't know that this can just be hung out there for years and years and years.
So what all did Jim Jordan know about it? Is that a...
We don't know. I mean, but he was a coach there, so we think he knew something. We're going to take a break. We've got one more segment coming up. We're going to have some light topics before we wrap up the program right after this. Hey, Scott Spears here with WGH Talk, and we have got talent, and we were just talking politics. We've got Matt Morgan, 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, and of course Dylan Davis, who has performed at Carnegie Hall. We were talking politics. Matt, what do you make in a few sentences of what's there, of everything that's going on in the world?
Oh, it's certainly crazy. I can say that much.
Mary Ellen, what do you make of what's been going on in the world?
Well, I'm worried about it.
Well, Dylan's biggest role, here it comes, President Donald Trump. President Trump, what do you make of the world right now?
Well, we're doing tremendous. We're winning big. We're having a lot of winning going on, bigly winning. I don't really know what we're winning at. Our education isn't that great. And a lot of our allies are abandoning us. But isn't it tremendous, Mary Ellen? I know you're a Democrat. But winning is fantastic, unbelievable, tremendous. A lot of people have been calling me and saying, Donald, we can't handle any more winning.
Mary Ellen, what do you make of this impersonation?
Oh, he's good.
Hey, Scott Spears back with you here, the home stretch of the exchange this week, joined by the 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, Matt Morgan. Well, one fun thing we can talk about that's happened since the last taping, we celebrated the 11th anniversary of WGH Radio last Thursday night, had a big party here. L&P cake, delicious as always.
Yes.
Always good to get it. And I knew we'd have a decent crowd last Thursday night, but I didn't think it'd be that big, which was great to see everybody that came out. Brenda Donegan came all the way from Bellefontaine. Buckeye Guy came in from Columbus. Mary Ellen was here. Fred Malone came in. I hadn't seen him in a while. Chad Clark performed a couple of live songs during the program that night. Matt was here, Sean, Terry, Linda, her husband. We just had a great group of people here that night.
And the school board gal.
Oh, yeah, Tara Dyer stopped in. Christian Pearson was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole great group of people was here that night, and we just had a lot of fun. My mother was here. We celebrated. Yeah, that was fun. It was a good time, and it's just fun to get together and be able to talk because we're never all in the same room together, and that was a good time. So, Matt, what'd you make of the big anniversary?
Oh, I mean, like you said, I think just about everybody came. I think that was good. I ended up sitting out in the hall most of the time because there was like chairs lined along the wall here. So, I swear to you, it was like 10 degrees warmer in here than it was in the hallway. So
it was all the hot air we were giving off.
So I would just come in here, talk for like however long, and then go back out into the hallway, and then still chill out there. So it was good though, yeah.
I'll tell you, Mary Ellen, we had about 8 people in the studio by taking out the 2 big chairs and putting chairs along the wall, and then passing the microphone around worked. Great. Everybody was heard very easily.
Yeah, I didn't know how you were going to handle that, but that worked very well.
It turned out working well. The people were listening that night. The next morning, I heard back a lot of positive feedback.
Did you? Yeah.
Yep, they liked the program, liked the live music.
Yeah.
And it was all very well.
Good.
So
Good.
It was a great night last Thursday night. We get to do that twice a year, for the anniversary and for the Christmas party. And I think it's good to get together. Let's see. Here's an interesting story. Well, here's one that I think is kind of interesting. The most common issue couples fight over is money.
Yeah.
A woman recently.
That's right.
Yeah, well, this is it. A woman recently wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal talking about how she has learned to live with her husband's lavish spending. Now, Mary Ellen, in your marriage, who liked to spend more? Were you even on money spending, or did one of you like to spend more money than the other?
Well, I'll put it this way. He had his money, I had my money. We decided that in the very beginning, and it was a smart move.
And it worked for 70 plus years.
It did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, explain, because this is good advice for people, because a lot of people are getting, why is that important? Because a lot of people will say you gotta put the money together, you
don't have to put the money together. You decide on who's going to pay for what, and you go from there. And if things are tough, you'll give your partner some money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you get along, and yeah, it worked out fine for us. Right after we were married, I decided that that's the way it better be, because otherwise there's going to be problems.
And I think it is the number one problem.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
Money. And I think what happens is, as near as I can tell, is if you share money and you think there's going to be a certain amount of money in there, and somebody makes a big purchase,
Yeah.
and you find out about
Yeah,
it,
and they didn't tell you.
and they didn't tell you,
right.
there's a problem.
That's
but
right.
if you have your own money, that doesn't happen.
That's right.
You know what you can spend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Matt, what do you think about this?
No, I mean, I think that's exactly right. I mean, I think that you should have you should keep your money separate. I mean, you know, some people tend to spend a lot more money than others, and you know,
they do.
I think it's. I mean, you know, to each their own, but I don't want my money being spent like that.
Yeah. I think that I mean, I would never put money together. I mean, I think it's just difficult once you do that.
Yeah.
I think it will make you angry.
Well, a lot of people do it, though.
They do.
Yeah.
But I think I've always said this. One of the reasons that a lot of people get married is financial. Now, I don't think in their mind they
That's
think
right.
that. But they think I can't afford,
Yeah.
I can't go on trips because I got to pay my bills and the car payment and the car insurance and all this. So if we have two incomes coming into one household, I'll have money to spend the way I want. Well, that's not a good reason to marry somebody, is so you can have more money at the end of the month, and this causes a problem.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rough way to go. Mary Ellen, what advice did you give your kids when it came to money in a relationship?
Well, they were very interesting, because some of them liked to spend money and some of them didn't. My one daughter, she wouldn't spend money hardly at all. And then there's another daughter that doesn't.
She likes to.
I mean, and I tried to get them to save, we worked on that a little bit. But they get along okay. I mean, nobody's got any problems that I know of.
You know what I always hear of? When you were first starting out in young married couple,
Yeah.
Were you frugal in those days?
Oh yeah, we had to be. We didn't have any money.
There was no money to be extravagant with. But as you got into some good positions and started making some decent money, were you still frugal, or did you spend more?
Oh, I was very frugal.
Yeah, a lot of people feel.
I was very frugal.
Yeah.
All of the benefits that I could get from government, I took. And believe me, it paid off.
I will say this, and I don't mean this as a bad thing, but I'm not going to say the name, but there is a person who I know is certainly well off financially in Marion. A matter of fact, if I said the name, you would know the name. That's why I'm not going to say it. But they are somebody who always buys clearance items at the grocery store. They are a person who will always ask for the older bread, to see if there's any.
Oh, I don't do that.
Yeah, there's a person.
I like fresh bread.
This is the inside of a grocery store. You learn these things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will always say, because they know this person, and they will say, they can afford to buy the full price. Why are they buying the clearance? I think if you're frugal, you're frugal. Mm-hmm. And I think it doesn't change.
Well, yeah, there's certain things that, I mean, I'm not totally like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you see a deal, do you like the deal?
If it works for me.
If it works for you.
Yeah.
What was your biggest extravagance in life? What did you like to spend money on?
Probably, I like to eat out.
Eat out?
Yeah. And, well, I like clothes.
A lot of people like clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to look good in my job, so that was important.
Usually it's clothes or cars with people.
Oh, yeah,
Houses, people like houses. property?
Well, we always bought American cars. I would not buy a foreign car. Yeah.
Matt, what do you think? What's your biggest extravagance? What do you like to spend money on?
Probably food. But
food as well.
But like
You always come in here with some kind of food.
yeah,
That is true.
I like food. But probably but like other than food, I mean, I really don't spend all that much money on anything. I mean, like, I think the last thing I bought of any like substantial cost was a 30-06. So
A gun.
a gun.
Oh, a gun. You like to get guns,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah.
Well, collecting things is good. I mean, that solves a lot of your problems sometimes with being able to collect something. It takes your interest.
Yeah.
And it keeps you from doing other things that aren't good.
Yeah. Well, it does. And
Yeah.
and so would you say you're a frugal person? Do you like to spend money, or do you like to have money in the bank?
No, I don't like to spend money really. The 30-06 I bought was a really good deal. Like came with a hard case and a scope and a tripod, a whole bunch of the whole 9 yards. And I only gave a very much less than the gun's probably worth with everything that it had there. But the guy was going through a divorce and wanted some money, so.
So it's like a donation.
Yeah.
A gun donation.
That's right.
Well, yeah, I think it's interesting. Frugality, a lot of people feel is a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, I think it is too. I've got a tripod somebody can have if they want. Norman got this tripod for his camera.
Oh.
Yeah, good to take pictures of watches. Now that's where he spent money, was on watches.
That's interesting. I was having I can't remember. I think it was Christian, but I won't throw him. Yeah, it's nothing bad, but I think it was Christian who was having the conversation because he had said, because I asked him if he'd ever met your husband, and he had never had the chance to meet him.
No.
And I said you would have liked him. I said he was. I mean, I didn't know him that well, but. I mean, I remember when you guys first moved back from Washington, I came to talk to you, and we kind of went into the side room at your house, the sunroom.
Yeah.
And you and I sat in there, and he was in the other room, and we talked about whatever we were talking about, probably politics or coming on the show or something. And he had went off into your bedroom, and as I was leaving, he said, "Hey, Scott, come in here for a second." And you sat at the kitchen table, and he showed me his watch collection.
Yeah, he liked to show that to everybody.
But it was interesting. He knew his stuff.
Yeah. He did, and he taught himself.
Oh.
I mean, he had this one guy on his mail route teach him the basics, and then he taught himself everything else, and he was good. He could do stuff that other people couldn't do. I mean, it was amazing to me.
Well, I remember going back there, and he's showing me and telling me where they came from, and where he got them, and it was fascinating the degree that he knew these watches, and I could tell it was something he really enjoyed. Yeah. And I remember you had stopped and just sat at the table, and I thought, Mary Ellen probably has heard about this before. She's out in the other room. But he was such an interesting guy that way.
Yeah, he belonged to 3 watch clubs in Washington, and he loved that. And then he's got all these books. I've still got them with the records of all his watches, and they're in the bottom of the TV stand. I thought, what am I going to do with those? Nobody's going to want them,
Right.
And, but anyway, I've got this tripod. Back to the tripod.
Back to the tripod.
Yeah, it keeps falling over.
Oh. But I think that it is interesting as we go along with time to learn. People do want to give stuff away, and people do. I am that way. If I have something that I don't want, that I think somebody can use down the road, I won't just throw it out. Mm-hmm. See, I think that's a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Because some people, you might run into somebody who wants that.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's my frugality, is I don't like to do that. I mean, eventually I will if it's there long enough. But, just one of those things. This is an interesting story. It's been reported there is a fight between longtime friends Jennifer Lopez and Leah Remini because Remini did not attend J-Lo's wedding to Ben Affleck, and of course that didn't turn out anyway. But Remini said there is no rift, just times you don't talk to someone as much, but the love for the person is still there. And I thought, Mary Ellen, there's probably people, I mean, you lived in a different state for a period of time, a different city for a period of time. Are there people you don't see or talk to that were in your life every day that you still have great feeling for?
Yeah, some of my neighbors.
Yeah.
When I was in Bethesda, yeah, but I made good friends. Yeah, I think about them. I think, well, I ought to call them, and I don't do it.
And that's always the way, isn't it?
I went over and sat on their porch when we had our open house for our house, and the neighbors, the people that walked by, of course, didn't know me, didn't realize I was the one that lived in that house they just went through, and they would make remarks.
Oh, really? Just let it go.
Yeah, it was so funny. We had a big time over that. Yeah. But this guy was very interested in my job, what I did, and he was a collector. He had he collected like toasters, toasters, and something else. What was it? Kitchen appliance of some kind. He had a basement full of them.
That's an interesting collection.
And his wife was so nice. I really liked her, and she. We would have each other over for a meal once in a while, and yeah, I think about them right now. I can't think of their name.
Well, and you were gone from Ohio for about 20 years, and you stayed in touch with a lot of people here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's Matt. If you're not around somebody all the time, does the feeling for them wane?
I mean, I guess it depends on who they are, but I mean, I guess if they were like a good friend of mine or like a loved one or just something like that, then yeah. I mean, wait, did you ask? Does it wane?
Yeah, does it wane if you don't talk to somebody all the time?
Then no.
Really, you don't think so?
I mean, like I said, unless like there are people who I would have considered myself like friends with in school that if I saw them now I'd be like, whatever. But, like, I mean, most of the people who I've been friends with my entire life are, like, my family, things like that. Like, when I see them, it's, you might as well just pick up where you left off.
Well, I don't know. See, I can, if you see somebody every day or every week, I think you develop a little bit of a shorthand with them. You know what's going on in their life. They know what's going on in yours. It's how's your day, that sort of thing. But if you go a long time without seeing somebody, no matter how close you are to them, it's not the same when you run back into them.
No.
It's different. I think that's we started out with talking about high school reunions. I think that's the problem.
Right.
Is that you don't know.
Yeah, you're not old enough yet for that.
Yeah, you gotta have a few years in there.
Speaking of high school reunions, though, they're apparently they're planning a fifth anniversary.
Are they going to invite that graduation speaker to speak at the 5th anniversary?
I hope so.
I think they should.
It'd be nice to hear him.
He's probably
again.
felt bad the entire time. He needs to come back and speak.
Is he still in Marion?
I think, as far as I know, hiding. I think he's hiding somewhere. He doesn't go out at all anymore. I don't know. I do think it wanes. So I think when she says that it's still the same relationship, I'm not saying that she hates Jennifer Lopez, but something happened. There's something.
Yeah. I don't know what the problem is. Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be some little.
Yeah.
Is Jennifer Lopez related to somebody in Scientology?
Oh, that's right. Julia Remini's against Scientology.
Yeah.
She does all those anti-Scientology
So if Jennifer
shows.
Lopez is...
Well, I don't know if Ben Affleck was Well, they're divorced now anyway, so I don't think it matters. I don't know.
She can't get along with anybody.
No, she's went through those husbands like crazy. I mean, it doesn't take long.
I know. I mean, you think things are going to work out, and then there they go again,
But apparently she has stayed friends with a lot of her ex-husbands. I did hear that recently.
Well, she's got a child by... the singer.
Mark Anthony.
Yeah, Mark Anthony.
Yeah.
I like I've got one of his records,
You know, somebody the other day, were you talking about Jelly Roll the other day?
Oh, yeah.
I was talking about Jelly Roll
Like
with
hugging
somebody.
people? Is that the whole
No,
thing?
no, not that hugging thing again, although I think he should stop that. Because...
Jelly Roll?
Yeah.
Do you?
He hugs too many people, I think.
I think it's
Well,
fine.
they said Drew Barrymore hugged too many people, too. She said she came on her show yesterday. She was celebrating her 5th year.
Oh.
And she said, they told me not to hug so much. She said, I can't help it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think hugging on television is a little different. Like a show like The View, which is live, if you stopped and hugged and kissed all 5 people, the interview would be over by the time you got...
Well, a lot of them do.
I always think, just sit down. Hug them during the commercial or
Well,
something.
yeah, the guy I was watching, I tape it. The guy today, he just sat down.
Yeah.
But the one yesterday did everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I think that you just got to sit down because
Yeah.
I think that you're live. You don't have much time. You know, it's an interesting thing. But if she wants to hug people, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, so Jelly Roll hugs too many people?
Yeah, there was a story that came out not too long ago that at the award shows he would be a presenter and he would hug the people who won, and the people who won didn't necessarily want to be hugged.
Oh.
I thought he received an award.
So he hugged the presenter.
Yeah.
Well, that too. Same difference, I think, though.
Well,
He's hugging people who don't want to be hugged.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if he's giving somebody an award and he's hugging everybody, I think that it makes more sense for like the person who was given their award to be like excited and then hug the person who gave them the award. I mean,
I don't know.
I
think
understand that like obviously the person who gave them the award didn't like pick them, but I just figured that makes more sense. I just won an award.
I don't understand the difference. I honestly, because if I'm presenting an award, I don't know who won it. Probably, if it's one of
But
these.
it's not going to be you. You're the one presenting.
Well, I understand that. That's why I don't want the person hugging me. You know, I might hug. Congratulations. You know, slip your hand in there or something.
I don't know.
But and if you're presenting the award, you certainly are getting the award. Why are you hugging people if you won the award?
Yeah,
Good for you.
You're excited that you won an award.
Well, that's good, but I don't know why you have to hug people.
Because
Just talk. Get on the microphone and
I
talk.
don't know.
You know, at those award shows, they crack that whip on the time. I mean, they tell you you've got, minute 30,
Yeah.
and we're going to play that music if you don't
Yeah.
get off the stage.
Right.
So I think you should not waste your time hugging. You need to give your speech and get off.
I always kind of like it when somebody starts to give a speech and the music starts to play and they just keep going.
Yeah, they do. They've been told not to do
Yeah,
that.
I think they know what they want to say and they've got it down pat and
Yeah.
they'll say it. Yeah.
Fivish Finkel, who was on Picket Fences, and he was a great actor, he became famous late in his life. I believe Picket Fences became a hit television series. I believe he was close to 70 at the time. And he won an Emmy for that character, Douglas Wambo, on Picket Fences. It's a shame they don't rerun that show. That's such a good show. But he won an Emmy. And he had been in Yiddish theater all his life, hardly making any money in Broadway. He was in Fiddler on the Roof and never, always bit parts in movies, but never a big role. And here in his 70s, he gets this Picket Fences and he wins an Emmy. And he gets up there, and I remember the first thing he said, it took me 65 years to get up here, and they want me to give this speech in 65 seconds. He said, I'm going to talk as long as I can, and they can do what they want.
Good for him.
Good. So he
Yeah.
let them know. Right?
Yeah.
And, the crowd erupted because he
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
I think you've got to give people some leeway if they're 70 years old, and it took
Yeah.
them that long. You can't
Yeah.
expect them to give that
Yeah.
speech in a minute 30.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember Elaine Stritch, the actress?
Yeah, I remember the name and I'm trying to, she was funny?
Funny.
Yeah.
She did a one-person show around the country that was very well received. And she was, I believe, close to 80 when she was doing this. And one of her lines in the show was, I've been in the business for 70 years and I've never won a Tony Award. And she was particularly known for her Broadway work. Well, for that show, she did win a Tony. And, that was the line in the show. The line was, I've got a great acceptance speech for a Tony Award, and I've had it for 65 years. And so she ends up winning the Tony Award, and she got up there, and they started playing the music, because she was speaking too long. So I wondered, well, because she was still touring with that show. So then she went out with the show, she says, I've had a great acceptance speech award for a Tony Award for 65 years. She said, there's good news. I won the award. Bad news, they cut the speech. And I thought, well, there you go. That's it. Why would you cut somebody's speech?
Oh, yeah.
We can wait an extra minute, Mary
Yeah,
Ellen.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the TV companies don't like to wait the extra minute. You know, I think that they sold an ad and they sold a time slot, and if you go past that time slot, they're cutting you off.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to hit the button so quick. And Jelly Roll, if he would stop hugging people, they could use that time for other parts of the show, I think.
didn't realize he hugged people that much, yeah.
You know, was it he recently? He can't fly on airplanes because he's got a felony?
Oh, really?
Did somebody tell me that recently?
I didn't know that.
I did not know about that.
Well, how can Trump fly
That's what I said. I said, how does the president get on airplanes? He's got 34 felonies.
Yes, he does.
Well, there you go.
How can he vote,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a whole different thing we've got going on now.
Yeah.
Here's something interesting. College students are using no contact orders to not have to communicate with each other or settle disputes. Now, there have always been no contact orders at college for, if you really didn't see eye to eye with somebody or somebody who was harassing you because you've got to live in the same dorms with strangers. But now they're just saying, I don't want to talk to that person. Do you think that this is a good idea, Mary Ellen, or are we headed down the road to not communicating with each other?
I don't like that.
Yeah, that's not a good path to be heading down.
No.
No, I don't understand why the college
crazy.
would allow that.
I don't know either. Where's that at?
I think a lot of colleges are doing this.
Really?
Yeah, because they want people to be comfortable and interested. I don't know. Now this is an interesting fact. According to a new survey, only 39% of Americans would donate an organ to someone they really cared about. Only 39%.
Well, the reason I don't want to donate anything, none of them are any good at this point. I mean, why would anybody want anything?
Now, if somebody came to you for an organ, though, would you?
I don't think I want to give up anything.
No,
at this point.
you want to keep it there and keep it good.
Yeah.
I think it shocked Americans because they thought it was low. But I don't know, it'd be tough to give an organ. What if yours stops working?
Yeah.
That's what I'd be worried
Yeah.
about.
I mean,
And organ surgery is not easy surgery.
No.
I think the most common is the kidney.
Yeah.
And
either
that's...
that or the liver.
And I'm hoping for these kidneys from the hogs.
Yeah.
I hope that works out.
Well, kidney's a rough thing for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
People end up on dialysis and their
Yeah.
kidney transplants, and I
Yeah.
mean, this happens with young people, middle-aged people, older people. It's a rough way to go. But I don't know if it was somebody in your family, Matt, would you donate an organ?
I mean, if it was somebody in my family, probably, but I mean, it's not going much farther than that. Like, I mean, I guess I'm a registered organ donor, so like when I die, I mean, somebody's getting my organs. So long as
you've already signed them
yeah,
up. Yeah.
I mean, so long. I mean, like, what am I going to do with them? They're a little beyond me at that point.
Yeah, that always seems like a good idea, but I don't know. I mean,
I understand that most organs from people who are registered organ donors aren't actually viable once they do all the inspection they have to do.
We're on a bad subject.
Yeah, this organ donor subject's very interesting. But I don't know why the number's so low. I think that's just an odd...
I think people just like their organs,
Yeah.
They
Well,
think,
you don't want to give up your organs.
I mean, organs are pretty important things. They're there for a reason,
That's right.
Yeah.
Except the gallbladder. You don't need
Yeah,
that.
that's just kind of silly.
Yeah.
Or the appendix.
Yeah, the appendix can go.
The appendix
Yeah.
can go. Scientists have wondered for a long time what the appendix was used for. Because it has no purpose, really, in the body.
I do believe they think it was basically just like another liver and kidney, just another kind of filter.
I heard that it was people used to eat bones, and it was a bone digester.
Oh.
Oh, what are those called? Oh, chicken gizzards, aren't they used to dissolve because of they eat stuff off the ground, so it has to do with something like stones in their food.
Well, yeah, but you got to think in prehistoric times, people probably ate bones and chicken. They couldn't go to Lee's or KFC.
Well,
They probably just ate the whole thing.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think I might not. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna cook it, but I don't know that. I mean, there's a very visible. There's a difference there, you know.
There's a lot of things that we do a little different now.
Chewing
than
on
we used
bones
to
is a
do.
little bit tough.
You know, it's one of those things, I guess. Oh, I wanted to touch on this. Michelle Obama recently talked about Melania Obama's choice to drop. I think we did talk about this,
Yeah,
Marianne,
we did.
but I think it's interesting
Yeah.
to drop her last name. But she said she did that because she wanted to go on her own path. And also recently, Peter Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger was on The View yesterday. I saw
Yes,
that.
yeah.
He did very good, I thought, on that
He
show.
did, yeah.
For a Republican governor of California.
I thought he came across really good too.
Yeah, for this man who had the affair on Maria Shriver with the housekeeper and was a big
Yeah.
Republican in the California, I think the last Republican California governor. And now all of a sudden he doesn't seem so Republican, it doesn't seem like.
Well, he made good statements.
He certainly
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be in line with President Trump.
Oh no.
No. And I think he sort of kind of half-backed Governor Newsom in that
Yeah.
statements he was making.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yep.
Schwarzenegger, who would have thought that? Schwarzenegger backing Newsom.
Schwarzenegger, the old guard Republican.
And his son, I thought he was cute. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. With a minute left, it's funny to think about Arnold Schwarzenegger now because when the Republicans used to have these fundraisers, he was always the big Republican celebrity because it tended to most of the Democrats were celebrities in Hollywood were Democrats, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was the one that the Bushes and
Yeah.
Reagan would always tout out there because he was the Republican, and he ended up becoming governor of California.
And that's how you do it.
California is how he would say it. All right, well, this has been a fun episode. A lot to talk about, and I think we got through it all. And I guess keep your organs and give away pianos instead. That's what you do. We'll be back with another episode. Have a great time. For Mary Ellen and Matt, this is Scott Spears heading for the dugout.